Now that you're thinking about their point of view as well as your own, and I don't mean to give up your own for their point of view, you're ready to determine and articulate for yourself your purpose. The second of our principles is that effective presentations are purpose-centered. The question I ask the people taking the HBR program is, if your presentation is a success, what will be the immediate result is about the listeners, but it also has seated in it a sense of a purpose for your presentation. Again, not entertaining your topic. Why am I listening to this? Is what every listener is sitting there thinking. Peggy Noonan, speechwriter, yeah, I don't share her politics, but she has this one terrific line, which is, all right, she probably has more than one, but there's one that I like a lot. Each speech has a job to do. Figure out what it is and make sure it gets done. But often when I ask presenters, what's your purpose? They don't have one. And my feeling that I don't say is, yeah, I know you didn't. And because the whole thing was kind of, I definitely couldn't take away stuff and tell somebody else. I kind of channel surfed. Because the thing, I'm not saying it wasn't going anywhere, but I couldn't figure out where it was going. And I do this, I'm used to this. So if I couldn't figure out, there weren't a lot of people who could. The intersection of your relationship with your listeners and your intention to use your message to influence people, their thinking or their understanding, is to persuade them. That's what persuasion is, moving people, their thinking, their hearts in many cases, and their actions. So you're always working to make your purpose happen. I do academic presentations. There's no difference there. From the listener's point of view, the question, why am I listening to this, dominates. It doesn't matter which category of presentation it's in. The third of our principles is that presentations are argument-driven. Argument is not a synonym for fighting and disagreeing. It's a synonym for advancing thought. And again, if we go back to the three ways that we reach humans, here comes my classical rhetorical language. I got 3 words. Hang in there. You reach people through you use logos, which is logical argument. It's usually what we mean when we say argument, to reach them through their minds. You use pathos to reach them through their hearts. And you use ethos to reach them when they're doing the belly test. Logos, that's kind of obvious, the mental argument. What we're trying to do, by the way, is in many cases move people to act. If that act is to change their thinking, to advance their thinking, that's it. We may be trying to get them to take an action, something larger. We're trying to do this by stimulating emotions. That's what pathos is. It's a pity that in English its closest sibling in the language is pathetic. But of course, classically, pathetic did mean moving people's hearts. And it interests me that in English, and I don't know about this in other language, we use the word "that's moving" to mean both it reaches our hearts and that we act. But pathos, I want to be clear, is not necessarily nice or fun. You may find that what you're doing is shaming your listeners. You may find that what you're doing is angering them. That's a pathetic argument. That's a pathos argument. That's reaching them emotionally. I'm not necessarily advocating that you set out to shame but it counts. So it's not a narrow, good time way of talking. Pathos is generally communicated to people through story. Story is a very large category. It includes imagery, it includes metaphor, it includes all kinds of things that people are, essentially, human beings are born reachable to their hearts by story. In fact, if I start to tell a story right now, which I didn't just do, you would know from the first 3 words. Yesterday, that's a story, right? I'm going to tell a story, aren't I? We're very, very quick at this. We're very good listeners to stories. They're powerful. You certainly can tell a boring one. You can certainly tell it badly. I don't have my name on that. But especially when we're in what we consider to be heavily logos-oriented situations, we act as though the rest of the human being went away, and it didn't. So we want to reach people with good imagery, with good stories, as well as with our arguments. Once you've got people's emotions in play, then is the time to try to change their opinion. And that's why I want my listeners, I want to reach across to them and have them say, she understands. They will then resonate with me. They will think I am a resonant speaker, but actually they did it themselves. And now I may reach their minds in a way that I wouldn't when they were saying it, when they were listening, kind of like that. It's not a criticism. But getting them to act. People don't follow ideas, they follow people. And so our third category is ethos, and that is considered, after logos, which is argument by logic, and pathos, which is argument by emotion, is ethos, which is argument by character. And I go back to this idea of this is your instrument. How do you put yourself across? Who are you for the purposes of your presentation? Should I get into it that I kind of had a cold last night, or it came on last night? Or do you step up and decide on what I'm going to use in our workshops, the term of persona, persona being the image of yourself that you project. And that is a skill. You decide it, you determine it, you get good at it. So if you register with people, if you advance their thinking and resonate with them as a human being, they may follow you, judging that you have leadership qualities, that you are a good character. And that's, you can spin that out in any kind of ways, but all of it is in play when you're presenting. Can you see now why, for somebody to stand up and begin to apologize for her presentation, that maybe it won't be very good, she's a little nervous, kind of shy? Oh man, I'm supposed to sit here now, be victimized? Please don't sacrifice your listeners to a pity plea. Step up. Do this for them. You're not talking to yourself. So there's a lot of ethos self-protection that we offer that I say, please, it's in the way. It's not helping. If I put all of this together, what we have is the intersection of your relationship with your listeners and your intention to persuade, which is to advance their thinking and move them to act by reaching across to your listeners with your ideas and your reasoning. And this is listener-focused, purpose-centered, argument-driven logos, argument-driven pathos, and argument-driven ethos. This is the work that we want to do in a high-quality presentation.